Dr. J.
Michael Jordan.
Dr. J invented the dunk.
Well, Michael Jordan invented human flight.
Listen to his name. Dr. Irvin, M.D., Master Dunker.
Wings.
What?
That's right. Michael's got wings under that jersey.
Don't be ridiculous. Anyway, they're both great.
Now, I'll give you that.
And when you watch them play,
It's like Coca-Cola Classic. You can't beat the feeling. Look it out.
Where will you be when your laxative starts working? Where will you be? With Fleet brand glycerin suppositories, there's no worry. Fleet works when you want it to, in minutes. For fast, predictable relief, trust Fleet. It's predictable.
Know what's missing from Pringles Light Barbecue? Not the zippy tang of chilies, onion, and garlic.
And what's missing from Pringles Light Ranch? Not the flavor of sour cream, buttermilk, and herbs.
Your body knows what's missing. It's a lot of the fat and salt in their regular chips.
And no cholesterol. But your mouth will never,
Ever miss.
What's missing?
BET Special. Janet Jackson, The Making of Rhythm Nation. Coming in September. Come join the stars when the National Council of Negro Women presents the Black Family Reunion. The festivities last all day long on the Washington, D.C. Monument grounds. Come out and catch the family spirit.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to BET News. I'm Ed Gordon. The Justice Department is investigating complaints law enforcement officers used excessive force to quiet disturbances at Virginia Beach last weekend. Law enforcement officials are denying any wrongdoing. At least 160 people were arrested when violence broke out at annual Greek Fest activities attended mainly by young black people. At least 2 people were shot and dozens of others were injured. BET's Sabrina Dames is here with more. Sabrina?
Thanks, Ed. You know, on the surface, Virginia Beach appears to be on the mend. The merchants are repairing the damage to their shops, and that could take several more weeks. But the memories of this past weekend may never be erased. There was no way to predict all that happened in Virginia Beach Labor Day weekend, but you get the feeling that a lot of people felt there was going to be trouble. Many of the merchants who lost thousands of dollars certainly sensed it.
I feel really sorry for the college kids that came down here to have a good time because it was so hyped up that the weekend was going to be so bad. And when you put that forecast out, everything is going to be bad regardless. They came down with a very, very unwelcome feeling.
Apparently, Virginia Beach officials were expecting something to happen. The city asked Governor Gerald Baliles to place the National Guard on standby the week of August 21st. BET News tried for 2 days to arrange an interview with Mayor Myra Orbendorf and City Manager Aubrey Watts. Neither was available.
They initiated policies and strategies built around keeping the students away. And that policy resulted in greater and greater resentment among the students. And I think by the time they got here, there was a certain amount of resentment built up among the students.
Once they got there, many students complained about getting tickets for things like jaywalking, talking too loudly, and for not wearing shirts, tickets that many local residents say aren't usually handed out.
From looking at film, we were talking about, you know, maybe 100, 300 people who were actually participating in the looting. But the majority of the others did not do anything. And we're talking about, you know, at this time on the street, you know, 70,000, 100,000 people. We are not going to permit a blanket statement to be made that all the students down there, or even non-students, were rioting, misbehaving, looting, or whatever. That is simply not the case.
Many of the students who attended the event are also worried a lot of innocent people will get blamed for the actions of a few.
And they call it a quote-unquote Greek fest, but there weren't even a lot of Greeks there. And if they were Greeks, they didn't wear any paraphernalia. You know, they weren't letting it be known that they were Greek. So I found it to be like two groups of people.
And a lot of them, they don't appear to, you know, they're not students. I just don't think that they're college students. They're in that college student age bracket, but I don't think they actually attend school. I just think that they're there because they know that's where everyone is going to be for Labor Day weekend. You know, the guys come to see the girls come to see the guys.
It's obvious that Virginia Beach does not want to see a repeat of Labor Day 1989. People say now is the time to make plans for next year.
They left a clear message, we'll be back. Okay, I think some effort needs to be put into that, too. When you come back, what are you bringing with you? Hatred, aggressive? We're going to show you again. If you come back with that, you're going to be confronted with that.
Nearby, Norfolk State University offered to help Virginia Beach city officials with Greek Fest activities because the university saw that no special events were planned for the students. University Relations Director Gerald Tyler told me the school hosted a Greek step show and a jazz concert, which was attended by thousands of students, and both of those events went out without a hitch.
Sabrina, let me ask you something. How was the NAACP able to keep such an accurate account of what was going on in the streets?
Well, you know, the city mayor is saying that they didn't overreact. The police department is saying there wasn't excessive force use, but NAACP spokesman Bernard Holmes, that you saw in my piece, told me that they know because they were there. They thought something was going to happen, so they stationed patrols throughout the weekend, and they witnessed a lot of the harassment that the students went through firsthand. And in fact, Bernard Holmes was arrested this week when he went to the jail to try to find out what happened to some of the protesters.
Okay, well, Sabrina, certainly we'll be keeping an eye on that story. Thanks very much for that report. Virginia Beach isn't the only place where there has been tension between African Americans and police. As BET News correspondent Barbara Grant reports, some blacks reportedly have been harassed by police driving along Interstate 95 in New Jersey.
Everyone gets a little nervous when a state trooper pulls them over, but African American drivers in New Jersey may have more reason to fear a stop than most.
Then they tell us to step out the car. Then they search the car. Never found no drugs, man. Actually, they're looking for drugs.
They thought at this point that here was a minority who had to be doing something, illegally, and it had to be something, connected with drugs.
Nate Jones, a public school principal, was arrested for obstructing justice after he was stopped by troopers.
Because I was asking, what did I do?
Jones filed a complaint against the state police. All charges against him were dropped. Troopers cited him for a minor traffic violation. His attorney says he was stopped for nothing.
We believe that he was stopped solely because he was a black American driving a luxury car.
Whether black motorists are being targeted for drug searches along the New Jersey Turnpike is a question being raised by a recent survey.
We were frankly concerned that this showed or appeared to show that there seemed to be some kind of pattern.
A New Jersey public defender's office found that blacks are 5% of out-of-state traffic, but 80% of drivers arrested and seen by their office. The public defender has petitioned the state court for state trooper records that could clear the air.
I deny discriminatory practices on the part of the patrolling troopers.
Jersey troopers are in the midst of a drug war. Last month, a trooper was critically wounded in a shootout with alleged drug dealers. They're cracking down on trafficking between New York and Washington, D.C.
These also happen to be major concentrations of underprivileged and sometimes privileged minority citizens, all of whom traverse our highways, many of whom carry drugs.
But legal experts say even a flood of legitimate drug busts doesn't justify violating the constitutional rights of black motorists to freedom of movement and protection from illegal search and seizure. In New Jersey, Barbara Grant, BET News.
A recent poll found that 60% of those African Americans asked say racism still intrudes on their daily lives. The poll done by USA Today also found that 79% believe racial attacks can happen in their towns and cities. The survey of over 600 African Americans found higher income people are more likely to perceive racism on the job while shopping, or trying to find a place to live. Still to come tonight on BET News, there's a new drug devastating communities on the West Coast, and it's moving east. We'll have details Also, President Bush explains how his new drug plan may affect African Americans.
For reaching deep, for going long, for digging in when things go wrong, for pushing hard in all you do, that extra yard for coming through this much for you.
Beechwood Age, for the taste so crisp and clean, so refreshing, it's the king of beers.
This much for you.
I want to tell you about this great new way to meet people. It's called the Love Line, and you use it by picking up your telephone. When you call, you'll hear real people talking about themselves and what they're looking for in other people. Best of all, you'll get the real names and telephone numbers of people who want to hear from you. So no more excuses, okay? Meet someone special. Call the Love Line. I think it'll be really good for you.
$2 the first minute, $1 each additional. Adults only.
So much has gone into the design of Soloflex. Years of refinement, the finest materials, the strongest, most dependable steel, the sleekest, most efficient form. Building in value at every step of design and construction. We know those of you who use Soloflex take pride in your bodies. And at Soloflex, we take pride in knowing that. For a free brochure, call anytime.
Street Talk. Stories from the streets by those who live there. On our side, Vice Cops.
At around 4:30 that following morning, we found a body in an alleyway.
On the other side, the outcasts.
All my morals are now like nothing. I can't even call my mom.
Street Talk. All real, all true.
You ain't seen pain till you've been here.
Listen to the shocking stories from both sides. Street Talk. Call 1-900-909-6666. $2 first minute, 45 cents additional minutes. Adults only, please.
On Tuesday, President George Bush announced his multi-billion-dollar strategy to fight the war on drugs. In the president's first nationally televised address, he told of his commitment to end the drug problem in this country. The following day, he marched out cabinet members to help further explain his plan. At a press conference, I asked the president if he could give some words that might assure the black community, many of whom have been skeptical of other administrations' fights against drugs, something that says his plan will work.
I would simply say to them, this is the first coordinated national strategy. The first time we've approached this problem on all fronts in a coordinated way. So give us your cooperation. Your own communities are being wiped out by this. Be involved and don't look away. And so I think that I hope we can help the skeptic by making clear that we do care about those areas that are most heavily impacted by narcotics.
The president is taking his strategy to the American people as he travels the country in hopes of solidifying the war on drugs. The president's new strategy may also mean drug agents will be stopping and searching more people than ever before, especially at airport terminals. Some critics of the random searches say African Americans are being unfairly targeted by agents. Linda Jones, a newspaper reporter in Detroit, has been stopped 2 times in the last 7 months, once at Detroit Metro Airport and once at an airport in Tampa. She feels both sides or both stops were racially motivated.
It concerns me. You know, I hate to think that every black person that's in a hurry and might be traveling alone and might be purchasing a one-way ticket would be suspect.
Drug enforcement agents say they are more likely to stop people who appear nervous and have only carry-on luggage and one-way tickets. They claim race is not a factor in determining who they stop. There's a powerful new drug hitting the streets that officials say is even more powerful than crack cocaine. The drug called ice or glass has already hit the streets of California and is moving quickly eastward. BET News correspondent Stephanie Frederick reports from San Francisco.
It looks like chips of ice, but this is a new version of an old drug, the rock form of speed, and it's more potent than rock cocaine.
It's just a different way of using an old drug that has far more potentially devastating medical aspects to it.
Drug enforcement officials say these tiny crystals will give That's not all.
You can get paranoid,
have auditory and visual hallucinations. You can have seizures, convulsions. You can alter the electrical rhythm of the heart. You can actually have a heart attack or a cardiac arrest.
Authorities suspect the drug ice is being shipped to the states from drug gangs and vendors in Asia. They first noticed ice in Hawaii 2 years ago. It has now reached epidemic proportions there and is being found on the streets of Los Angeles, Portland, and San Francisco. At the Haight-Ashbury Drug Detox Center in San Francisco, more than 50 ice addicts are currently being treated. Clinic director Dr. David Smith is predicting that this trendy new drug could do for white America what crack cocaine has done for black America.
Biggest increase in crack cocaine, smokable form of crack cocaine, has been in the black community. The biggest increase in the smoking of ice or glass has been in the white community. So in that sense, when you look at overall trends, it's very, very serious because it's not that one is going down and the other one's going up. Both are going up.
Those who thought crack cocaine was the worst are now learning that this new drug can be manufactured here in the U.S., making it easier to get and cheaper to make. Authorities are hoping the hype over ice is less destructive than its high. Stephanie Frederick, BET News, San Francisco.
Coming up, will race be a factor in the mayoral election in the nation's largest city? We'll take a look. Also, we'll see what's happening in South Africa after that country's white-only election.
As I balance the facts, I can see that there's going to be a whole lot of Toronto fans before the year's over. That's next on Sports Page, brought to you by your Toyota dealer.
My Toyota. With the 1989 Camry, you get the reassurance of Toyota's reputation for quality, reliability, and dependability. And that can mean a great deal when the only thing between where you are and where you want to be is a lonely road. My Toyota, I love it. Who could ask for anything more?
Let's do it. You know, isn't it funny how people join that bandwagon when you start winning, and George Bell and the Blue Jays are doing just that. Bell's been phenomenal. Here's a double down the line against Cleveland yesterday. 3 runs would come in the score. Run number 5, by the way, was Mookie Wilson, who's been reborn since coming in from the Mets. In the third, Steve Davis didn't want any part of Bell. Tried to intentionally walk him. It got away from the catcher. Mosby would score in this 12-4 win. Who do you call when you need heat? Well, most people call Nolan Ryan, the only man with 5,000 career strikeouts. Yesterday, 10 against Baltimore. But Valentine's still worried. That's because the O's in a pennant race playing heads up. This got by Worthington, but Ripken, always the heads-up player despite the run scoring, gets the man out at third, and Mike Devereaux in the 7th gets a hold of Ryan. A 3-run home run. Devereaux had 5 RBI in this ballgame. O's win 8-3, sweep a doubleheader from the Rangers. And out west, California, trying to have a season of balance. They started out great. They were in first place most of the first half, but they lost 8 of their last 10, going down 5.5 behind Oakland as Milwaukee cruised last night. Oh, and by the way, join us tomorrow. BT Sports kicks off that '89 black college football season. Classic matchup, SWAC rivals Southern University and Alabama State. 16th Annual Gulf Coast Classic. This has been George Johnson for Sports Page. The page is brought to you by your Toyota dealer. Whatever car or truck you choose, you'll love the quality. Who could ask for anything more?
Why is it, Lou, you come in here every morning and order a large orange juice?
I like orange juice.
Oh, really?
It's got potassium, vitamin C, lots of vitamin C.
Orange juice. It's got the vitamins, minerals, and taste that make you feel so good.
Come on, Lou. Isn't there another reason?
Well, I kind of like the company.
100% pure, Florida quality orange juice. It makes you feel so good.
Here, have another glass, Lou.
Finally, equal treatment for hands and nails. Vaseline Intensive Care Hand and Nail Formula Lotion. It softens rough, dry hands and helps strengthen nails. Finally, equal treatment for hands and nails.
Archbishop Desmond Tutu is calling for acting President Frederick de Klerk and his government to resign because of violence that marred elections earlier in the week. Tutu says that at least 23 people were killed in the violence. police officials are challenging Tutu to prove his allegations. The all-white elections retained de Klerk and his ruling party, but the party did lose some representation, a sign that many say shows a shift in the country's attitude toward apartheid. Activists have vowed to continue anti-apartheid defiance campaign, a protest that has sparked much of the violence in that country. On the same day in this country, Trans-Africa Executive Director Randall Robinson expressed his group's outrage at the lack of support anti-apartheid activists have received from the Bush administration.
George Bush, who could find his voice in China, who could find his voice in Panama, who could find his voice in Nicaragua, who could find his voice in Poland, cannot find his voice as the most vicious campaign to suppress this defiance effort is being unveiled by the South African government.
Robinson went on to say he felt the lack of movement from the Bush administration was due in part because of race and ideology, and if the oppressed people in South Africa were white, the Bush administration would move more swiftly. Here at home, racial tension is also affecting an election. This Tuesday, voters in New York City will go to the polls for that city's mayoral primary election. The killing of a young black man in Brooklyn several weeks ago has become an issue in the race to lead the nation's largest city. BET's Josanne Lopez reports.
It is the day for New York City. I think that this election will symbolize whether we stay as a whole city or whether we continue in what we've seen in the last 4 years, a divided city.
NAACP Regional Director Hazel Dukes characterizing the importance of next Tuesday's Democratic mayoral election in New York between frontrunner David Dinkins and the incumbent mayor Ed Koch. Speaking at the West Indian American Parade in Brooklyn, Dinkins brought up the racial killing that has dominated this campaign for the past few days.
I want to say just a word about a tragic occurrence in our town in the recent past. I speak of the death of Yusef Hawkins.
I've been speaking about the need to bring people together long before the unfortunate tragedy of the death of Yusef Hawkins. I can recall an occasion when the mayor was asked about race relations, and he said that the people didn't think it was that important because it was only about 5% in the polls. Well, it's important to me. And now, because of this death, it's important to everyone.
Those people are political and are seeking, I think, foolishly and dangerously to take a recent dreadful occurrence and turn it into a political football. They do us all a disservice when they do that.
On the street, New Yorkers expressed their feelings about race relations and the role it will play in the upcoming election for mayor.
I think we've been seeing a drift apart, and that can be very dangerous. We need to come back together. There's a tremendous amount of goodwill in the city on both parties, whites and blacks. We just need to find a person who can bring this goodwill together and make New York City the vibrant city that it can be.
This is our opportunity, not only for African Americans again, but for all people to come together.
For BET News in New York, I'm Josanne Lopez.
The Reverend George Stallings is still refusing to answer charges that he had sex with an altar boy. The charges appeared this week in the Washington Post. You may recall Stallings was suspended from the Catholic Church after setting up a separate African-American church in July. Stallings says these new allegations are just part of an effort to keep his church from succeeding. We'll be back with more news in just a moment.
Anyone care for an ice cold bud?
Where does she come from?
Where did John Marrero get the hands-on experience to advance his career at Kodak? DeVry. Call now, 1-800-247-7800. Where did Roger Sonneven learn the technology that gave him an advantage at DuPont? DeVry. Call now, 1-800-247-7800. Where did Kevin Eicher get the education Liebert Corporation was looking for? DeVry. Call now, 1-800-247-7800. DeVry. We're serious about success.
BET Special. Janet Jackson, The Making of Rhythm Nation. Coming in September.
The all-new This Week in Black Entertainment is changing time. Starting September 27th, catch the best in art and entertainment only on Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
Black Hollywood.
There's often criticism about the way black people are portrayed on television.
Love and romance.
Communication is the key to any relationship.
Blacks in religion.
There is racism in the church.
The resurgence of jazz.
Jazz music is very important to the history of black people in America.
It's a talk show where the conversation is real and controversial. Our Voices, premiering September 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern, only on BET.
Some 43 million disabled Americans, including people with AIDS, may soon be receiving new protection from discrimination. Late Thursday night, the Senate passed a bill that would outlaw discrimination in jobs, accommodations, and services to those with a wide range of disabilities. The bill specifically does not include homosexuals after conservative senators protested. It was back to school for students around the nation this week, but according to the Justice Department, not all of those students went back to the schools they should have. Officials say some white parents lied about where they live to keep their kids out of predominantly black schools, and some black parents lied too. BET's Gail Leach-Lawler reports from Mississippi.
The Justice Department says the illegal tricks being pulled by white parents across the country is impeding desegregation. In a letter to the Mississippi State Department of Education, it says illegal student transfers from one school district to another are accomplished through the use of false addresses. Nationalist Movement President Richard Barrett, a devout segregationist, says you don't get education when you go to a predominantly African-American school.
Instead, endemic corruption, loss of accreditation due to poor education, loss of hope, loss of desire, trashing of education.
Complaints to the Justice Department allege school district buses are being illegally driven to district lines, boarding students from adjacent districts. The Justice Department says that one of the most common methods used in Mississippi to try to keep races separated in public schools is when parents go before judges to seek guardianship papers. What happens is that parents tell judges that they're having a financial difficulty or a job transfer. They want their child to have a new guardian and a new school district. The parent is successful, yet the child never lives with the new guardian, but continues to go to the new school district. African Americans comprise just 35% of the Mississippi population, but 50% of the public schools are predominantly African American. The Justice Department urged Mississippi to move quickly to create a system to monitor home addresses of the state's 500,000 students. Alabama, Georgia, and Louisiana are under similar investigation. Gail Leach-Lawler, BET News, Jackson, Mississippi.
Finally, if you're a woman who's always dreamed of marrying Chicago Bulls basketball superstar Michael Jordan, it looks like you'll have to set your sights elsewhere. The Chicago Sun-Times reported that Jordan married Juanita Vanoy last week in Las Vegas. Vanoy is the mother of Jordan's 8-month-old son, Jeffrey. The happy couple is currently vacationing at the La Costa Spa near San Diego, where Jordan is playing in a golf tournament. Sorry, ladies. That's it for this edition of BET News. For the entire BET News staff, I'm Ed Gordon. Have a good weekend. We'll see you next week. Good night.